I am presenting.
And you should be good to go now.
Okay, I'm going to start about with the Google Earth, and then we can go back a little bit in the video and address some other technologies behind the Google Earth. But here is an actual employees. I think it's in English, so let me know.
So how do we build Google Earth? The way it starts is we look at places that we want to collect an imagery, and then we collect it through a variety of different ways. One is satellites.
One, supposedly. Let's keep.
And satellites give you the global views, and that's all 2D imagery that's wrapped around the globe. When you get closer to the ground, we have 3D data that we collect from planes.
Yes, you heard right, planes. I'd always assumed that every overhead photo of the Earth I'd ever seen was taken by a satellite. But I learned creating 3D imagery requires special conditions. So Google flies planes, or as I now like to think of them, street view cars with wings. Kevin told us that a typical flight to take photos is around 5 hours. Except the planes aren't going across the country, they're making little zigzags over the same area.
So it's north and turn south. It's sort of like mowing the lawn.
This pattern helps the photos overlap, and multiple cameras help capture a place from different angles.
The planes have 5 different cameras, one looking down and forward, back, left, and right.
In my mind, I'm picturing like photograph, 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 photograph.
Yep.
And then something puts them all together. Something called an algorithm.
Photogrammetry, yeah.
Which is just a fancy word for taking all of this imagery that we collect from the plane and constructing a 3D model.
The first step to creating a place in 3D is a little bit of photo editing.
So all the imagery is sort of prepped. That would be removing clouds, removing haze, color correcting. You'll actually see that a lot of the cities don't even have cars in them. We actually take the time to extract those.
Then the 3D science begins.
Como vimos, Google Earth.
So that's the first thing. I mean, you need to keep something in mind. First of all, there is no any satellite images, because if you take a look at the beginning of the explanation for the actual employees of Google, it's all DJI, and supposedly it's this part that is the global, that what they call a global view. From this starting point, it's just a plane. Maybe you have a little confused because at the beginning of this for example, this super wide field of view, maybe in your mind represent a satellite view, but this is just mosaic putting together from the
It would be very
ground.
easy to basically simulate a satellite view.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that it's very funny because when they start making the zoom, they just making on purpose, of course, because this is all social engineering, to a global Earth. You know, they can pick whatever they want. No, they pick a happy spherical Earth, but they don't mention this maybe for some type of restriction in terms of the brand, but the most important company of the world is Bexel, and Bexel are produce this amount of data with this super high quality, with all the different for example data, like if you want to see the climate or the ground or the fields of the crops or whatever, it's being produced by this company and others, 24 hours, world-class technology, support by the Bexel cameras built by Microsoft technology, and everything that you can supposedly create with a satellite, like the mosaic or the strip of images putting together, all are made by this type of technology. And here you have the same type of, so how can you take the difference between this technology and the satellite? There is none. And in fact, if you see, this is the actual size. This is mock-up, but this is the actual size of a camera to take the this type of high resolution images. So remember that in our days, supposedly there are out there, nano satellites collecting data, images, photograph with the lens of 2 centimeters.
Right.
You know, what? I mean, you need to
It's like
be.
your iPhone or something.
Yeah, you need to be in the plane with these huge lenses, with this capability to, you know, manipulate on real time with hands, human hands, collecting the data, then, you know, download it and pass all over the world. And, you know, it's insane work behind this. And that's supposedly made by a nano satellite. Come on, man. And again, this is the technology in the sense of the imagery behind the Google map. Then you have, of course, the this simulation of the stitchy images of the globe Earth is the same thing as you do with photometry.
Telemetry, yeah.
Yeah. So that is the part of the images behind the Google Earth. That is why when you zoom out in the Google Earth, it's just a CGI, and when you start making zoom in, it's real picture. It's because you have real photos. Then you have the other nice part, like for example, when you see this, remember that this is the show business, and this is the real satellite components, you know, for different aspect. You have cosmic observation, you have a cosmic telescope, you have telecommunication, you have ground observation, you have local bound signal for military purposes, whatever. You also have, for example, things like this, when you can propel and move the globals, the global balloons to keep in one area and only one area for months, for years, if you need to bounce signals and things like that. It's not just like but if it's something like a balloon, how you control it? Well, you have propulsions to control that. You have fans, because it's not a complete vacuum up there.
And 95,000 feet, you wouldn't see that at all.
No
it could
chance,
be
man.
real big like that, and you
No.
have no chance of seeing
No
it.
chance. Then you have companies like Aerostar, which works with NASA from the 60s, do it the same type of things. Let me to show you. Give me 1 or 2 moments. But before that, remember the other part of the satellite technology, which is the telecommunications, and that you can see in this area. Remember that I think is give me 1 second, this one. Remember that, for example, here, around here, just in the old times, just with 8 antennas around the world, they cover the complete world. And this was the Omega navigation system, which was the next one before the next after the Lowrance.